With the history dating back to nearly 1.5 millennia, Kyiv is a city of magnificent historical landmarks and impressive monuments. A city filled with beautiful churches, museums, universities, public buildings, and parks. Ukraine's capital is a green city with fun beaches, stunning architecture, and dazzling summer confidence. Kyiv, set astride of the wide-flowing Dnieper River, is a patchwork of forested parks and spectacular architecture. Golden domes of churches gleam among the treetops. Glinting contemporary skyscrapers poke alongside them. Kyiv has always been an intimate connection with the water. The man-made Kyiv Sea is once again the setting for the Grand Prix of Ukraine. The weather in Kyiv and the winds off the Kyiv Sea were abysmal for the drivers. And yes, it took 2 days to get this race event in. The rains, the winds were taxing on everybody as they decided to bring the boats out. And they got behind the pace boat on day number 1, but they realized the officials they could not race. Everybody had to go home and come back a second day to run this third round of this championship. So one by one they came out, and as they took off on the fly, an exciting start, the weather conditions better, and there was a problem for Stanislav Korsanovsky as the Russian went over down in turn number 6, ending his day in spectacular fashion. Torrente led most of the way, but his tears went for Sami Selio's cheers as Torrente dropped out late in the event, handing Selio the victory, the first of the season for the man from Finland. The sights and sounds of spectacular Brazil as the 2013 season opened up. The first time in the history of the UIM Formula One World Championship, they headed to south of the border, and everybody in Brazil was all excited, as were the crews and teams. After a 6-month layoff, they get back together, having fun and racing toward the pole position. And when the race was underway, Sami Selio, the man from Finland, picked up his 20th career pole and his first of the year as he went racing around this race circuit. And problems for Marit Stromoy as the Norwegian had to paddle her way into disappointment, ending her day in round number 1. But when all was said and done, Selio came away with a victory after taking pole position. A perfect day for the man from Finland.
Team did a great job. They give us best boat, best engine, best product, and I did quite good job either myself, so we are here and very pleased. tough fight, and he was just unlucky. It was not the gift for sure. So we push and give him the pressure, and he broke down, and that's the motorsport. So sometimes shit happens.
But for Sean Tarente, he sure didn't see it that way.
Well, definitely handed him a victory. I passed him clean, led the whole race, and then, had that issue. But Sammy, he's a good racer. He's a world champion. He deserves to be respected. There's no doubt about that. However, as far as a person, that's a different story. The only thing he does better than racing is whine. So let him whine. I'll continue to drive my boat, and then we'll see what happens.
Alex Carella, so it's Celio, Shep, and Tarente, 1, 2, 3, and the way they qualified, it sits in those first top 3 positions.
Yeah, looking really strong at the moment. Celio there seems to have everything in hand. 1.28 seconds ahead of Chiap. Tarente in third, another second down. Then we have Alquamsi, Carella, Cantando. Brilliant start there, moves right into 6th slot, and Jonas Anderson in 7th. And Robayan, who was in 6th at the start, he's back down to 8th.
Ahmed Al-Hamli now. He started in the 10th position. Remember, he came back from a massive surgery last summer, and he's been fighting his way back to physical health. Now, a year ago, he started in the 10th spot. He's up to 9th. He started 10th again today. As you look at your leader, Sami Celio, as he comes circling through. He's rocketing down this race course as he's setting a blistering pace already. He's 3.08 seconds ahead of Shep. And Tarente is 4.59 seconds, or a second and a half behind the Frenchman. That'll be a great battle to watch this afternoon as we've completed 2 of the first 38 laps here in the history books.
I talked to Sammy just before the race, and I was talking about this boat. He's had it for the last couple of 3 years, and he said, I just feel so comfortable in the boat. I know the limit of the boat. It accelerates well. It's doing everything. He said, I'd like to look at maybe changing it for one of these latest Baba boats that are built by Massimo Rogero in northern Italy there. But he said, I feel so at home with this. He said, I don't want to change it at the moment. But the guy that really is putting the hammer down at the moment is Philippe Chap, the French driver there. He's in that 2nd slot. He's hanging in there. 3 seconds on the last lap, 3.22 behind. So he's running a really strong pace out there. And he's just pulled 2 seconds on Sean Tarente in that 3rd slot.
As you take a look at Tarente now, the Florida driver trying to figure out a way to move up on the French driver Philippe Chep. Right down to sitting on the podium now. For instance, for this man here, Shep, is looking for his first ever victory. This driver from France, from Rouen, is starting his 83rd straight start, and he has never won a race. He would love to change that around this afternoon.
Steve, such is the pace of Sami Celio that he's already starting to catch some of the back markers out there. And at the moment, he's scything his way through the traffic there. And Philippe Chap doesn't seem to have an answer for him. On that last lap, he was 3.22, 3.17, so he's keeping the pressure on.
There you see Philippe Chep working his way around Rini Ascalati, the oldest veteran on his team from Team Nautic over on your left. And there's Shep on the right, making the circle, coming out of the corner. heading down into the far circle in that beautiful Moore boat. They continue to trim and make that boat smaller and smaller, and it's getting faster and faster over the last 3 years, Jonathan, as you look at our leader, Sami Selio.
Yeah, talking about that boat, the Moore boat, what they've been doing over last year, they developed 4 different boats, and they've taken all the best ideas from each of those 4 boats and actually put all those ideas into this new boat. Limited testing before they came here. They didn't know quite how it was going to run, but boy, they seem to be on the money out here today.
All right, interesting factor as you look at your 2-time defending world champion, Alex Corella, who has never won here in 2 starts, but remember, it's only his 23rd start. There's Alex's friend and his buddy talking to him on the headset and the Qatar team. He has drifted back. I mean, he's not in part of this top 3 that it's separated by about 6 seconds. He is all the way about 10 seconds behind his teammate Torrente back in 5th place. So Alex Corella again struggling to keep the pace up, as now Sami Selio now, it looked like he got physical with the boat next to him as he was trying to make the pass. It could have been his teammate in that number 12 machine, Philippe Rams, as those 2 Matt Croc boats look like they touched each other. And Jonathan, that'll be interesting to see how hard a hit he took. He took it on the right spots, and as he circles through, is there any damage on this boat? From our vantage point, it doesn't look like it yet, but maybe a little bit. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe a glancing blow, but he touched him, and that's not a great way for teammates to get along.
No, he probably should have given him a little bit wider line there. He obviously knew he was behind because the crew chiefs were talking to them on the radios, and he didn't give him quite enough space. Sami knew he had to go for that gap because Chiap still putting the pressure on, Steve. 2.14 seconds. Chiap has gained a second on Selio, and he's starting to put the hammer down.
And we go on board. You get a chance to see how the action is as they work their way through here. And now you take a look at Ahmed Al-Hamli, who sits down in that 9th position. Hasn't gained any ground for this driver from Abu Dhabi, who almost won this championship. He was leading the championship by a big margin after 3 races, but then he got sick, and then Selio trying to do his best. Selio was in a position to win the World Championship a year ago in China, but he and Sean Torrente got into a heated 3-way boat startup as they came on a race start. They touched each other. Torrente nailed him, and the 2 went over. Torrente got suspended for the rest of the year, and Selio's chances and dreams of a 3rd world title were gone. And this man, Philippe Shep, he just liked to win a race. He's 2.5 seconds behind the leader. He's staying right with Selio.
He certainly is. He gained from 3.22 to 3 seconds down to 2.5, back to 2.52 on that lap. So he certainly got the pace out there at the moment. And in that 3rd position, Sean Torrente, he's 4.29 seconds behind the leader, but still hanging on there in 3rd and pushing for all he's worth. With Al-Kwamsi in 4th, Cantando still hanging on in 5th. Jonas Anderson moved up from 9th to 6th. Rubayan in 7th, and Ahmed Al-Hamli in the 2nd Abu Dhabi boat in 8th position at the moment. Doesn't seem to have the pace out there, anything like that he had last year. The only thing is, Steve, we've got to give the guy credit. I mean, you know, this time last year he was complaining of headaches. He had that brain tumor. I mean, it's a miraculous recovery, and he really is pushing as hard as he can out there, but doesn't seem to have an answer at the moment.
Sean Torrente has gone by the wayboards. Torrente has slipped out of the top 3, and he has drifted all the way down into the 12th position. So obviously a problem for the American again for the 2nd straight year. Sean Torrente, as we continue to look for the driver from Florida. On the scoring table, they show him all the way down in the 12th spot. So we'll have to see what exactly happened here, Jonathan, as the driver from Florida continues to drift rearward. What do you got, Jonathan?
Well, you know, yesterday in practice, you had a similar situation there with Alex Corella, the world champion. He broke 2 engines, one in free practice and another one when they had some time trials. So he was struggling a little bit. Torrente's back on the money again. He's obviously off again, but he's way down the field at the moment in that 11th position. And Corella now moved up into 4th. He's still a little way off the lead 3 boats, but starting to push and making up some ground.
Yeah, interesting the way that's sitting, because he's sitting out there right now as he runs in the same position that he was, Jonathan. So we'll keep an eye on that situation. Right now, the official scoring is showing, of course, Selio in the lead with Shep right behind him, 4.5 seconds. Then they show Thani Al-Kwamsi up in the 5th spot, but he is 21 seconds back in that 3rd spot with Alex Corella in 4th. So we'll watch it visually as they come by here.
There you can see Sami Selio. He's just gone through. You can see there. Torrente starting to push again, Steve. He's starting to make up some ground.
Yeah, there's a scoring problem, Jonathan, because Torrente is actually in 3rd place as he is right behind Philippe Shep they show him down in the 11th position, but obviously there's a scoring problem. But we can see it visually that Tarente is still on the pace, and he's right behind, as you can see in that position coming by. That's Alex Corella in the 4th position. Actually make that to the 5th position for the driver from Italy.
He's running quite well out there at the moment, but back to the front, Sami Seljo, 3.77. It was 5.14 the lap before, so again they're going through back markers, and it seems it's nip and tuck between these two lead boats. You get one lap where Chiap seems to have a little bit of advantage. Sami there now siding through the back markers again, and Chiap starting to close down on him, Steve.
Philippe Chiap has not given up. He's notorious about staying close, and he's trimming the lead down to 2.14 seconds. The battling pair who is setting a hot trail as he's trying to close up. He's almost side by side with Seljo as he's making good his escape. He's trying to, but really the battling pair is getting smaller and smaller as they continue to fight. As you take a look at Alex Corella, and the driver from Italy is right there, and oh my, he almost lost it. He was able to gather it back up coming out of the corner. He was teetering on the edge of disaster, and as they worked their way around, that was Sean Tarente who got it up on the right spots, and not Alex Corella, as somehow he saved it as he got the boat up sideways and was able to back off the throttle a tad, and now he works on Yusuf Al-Robian to try to get around the driver from Kuwait in that number 9 machine.
2.14 seconds, back up to 3.25 seconds as they go through the back markers. It seems that on one of the laps, it seems that Sami seems to have a nicer line inside. He seems to be able to tow it to the back markers a little bit better. And then Chiap, he comes back at him again. But there is absolutely nothing in the performance of these two boats. There is nothing between them at all. And it's turning out to be a blinding race there with in that 3rd position, still Tarente pushing as hard as he can, but doesn't seem to have an answer for these two lead boats.
Great shot from our drone can. It's great that we've got that working right overhead. You can see the boats coming through the corner as they slide through, as they set the boat going around the corner. These boats do not have brakes, and you've got to trim the boat down and get it in the water to slow it down and get the drag going, and that's exactly what they're doing. Different lines through the corner, very interesting. And Sean Tarente, we believe he's still in 3rd place, Jonathan, even though scoring is showing him down in the 8th spot. But Tarente is pushing hard. He just a moment ago went by Ahmed Al-Hamli like Al-Hamli threw an anchor out and was going backwards. Tarente is setting the pace, and he's staying right there. But Philippe Chiap continues to be just 3 seconds back of this man, Sami Seljo.
But you can see how well Seljo's boat is balanced on the water. The boat that he's running here, it's slightly longer than the boat in 2nd, 3rd and 4th position, and it seems so well balanced on the water, and he's running really well out there.
Bartek Marszalak, what a shame for the rookie out of Poland as he is pulled off the race circuit. The driver from Warsaw who's getting a chance to go racing, and for him, it's the first time in a long time he's had a chance to run a possible hole in the boat.
Yeah, it looked like it, Steve. He was down the back straight there, and the boat was leaning to one side, so he may have collided with somebody, and it looks like he's going to have to pull off the circuit, which is a great shame because he was running a good old pace in the midfield there for sure. But back to the front there, Steve. Sami Seljo still hanging in there, 2.07. He's closing down on him again, Chiap.
He took a second off him. He's getting closer and closer. Shep is relentless this afternoon. He's very aggressive. He's got a new hull. He's got a new boat. He is pushing to the hardest as he can to really pressure Seljo. Now remember, as you look at the Frenchman in 2nd place, Seljo got in contact with his teammate, it looks like. We don't know if that caused any damage, but Seljo continues to lead. But I'll tell you something, the difference between 1st and 2nd is now just 2.07 seconds. Let's see if Shep can carve any bit more. Now there's clear racing as they come out of the corner, as Sami Seljo ready to come up on his teammate once again, Philippe Robson. Let's see if he lets him through.
Seljo through the traffic just a little bit better again there, Steve, and Chiap having to back off a little bit and lost a bit of time, probably lost half a second or so, but certainly keeping the pressure on. This is the first time that Chiap really can feel that he has a chance of winning his first Grand Prix, and he's learning out there so well at the moment in that 2nd slot with Tarente hanging in there in 3rd still, Corella in 4th, Cantando 5th now, Jonas Anderson strong in 6th, and Rubayan in 7th.
Have to keep an eye on the scoring in the fast lap in this race so far, set by our leader, Sami Seljo, with a 4.822. Now remember, he qualified with a 4.562, so not bad race pace. He's only less than 3 seconds off his qualifying effort, so Seljo continues to push his way around. Seljo now is being challenged by Philippe Shep, and Shep has got by him. Oh my, Seljo's got a problem. Sami Seljo's backing up, and now Torrente is hot on his heels, and Philippe Shep has taken the lead, and Shep has marched himself up. Shep has never, ever led a race. This is the first time the Frenchman has got the lead.
And you can see there Torrente just going round the far end, down on turn 3 there and up the back straight. And you could see Sami Seljo slowly but surely pulling off the circuit. He's probably lost about 100 miles an hour in speed, and it looks like he could be out of this Grand Prix.
We believe that Sean Torrente is currently in that second place position. He lines up that way on the race course. The scoring isn't showing us that position. They show him down in 7th, but we believe that he is in second place. And now it looks like Seljo's got that boat back up a little bit in anger, but you can see it's not going 100%. He is struggling around this race course. What a shame for the driver out of Helsinki. Finland was hoping to make a 2 for 2 here in Kyiv, and 2 for 2 for 2013, but he's out there struggling, Jonathan.
He certainly is. He seems to still be able to keep going. So has he got a technical problem, maybe an electrical problem or something like that? Because nah, he's slowing way off now, Steve, and it looks like Chiap has got it all to himself. But at the moment we got Chiap on the scoring here. He's leading the race. Sami Seljo in second, 11.58 seconds behind. Thani Al-Kwamsi, the Abu Dhabi driver, in third, and Alex Carella in the number 1 boat, the current world champion, in that 4th slot.
As we watch Seljo now accelerate down the back straightaway behind, and now you can see Josef Arobian, the driver from Kuwait, challenging, and it looks like those two may have touched. Oh, they came very close to each other. Seljo ducked and dodged and weaved out of the way, slid to the outside, but Seljo obviously not having maybe the handling he was hoping for, because he's been rubbing paint with a couple of drivers today. It's getting very physical. Something's going on with this setup, and I don't think Seljo's happy with it.
No, you can see, I mean, Steve, it could be something like a broken propeller. It could possibly be one of the blades have gone on the propeller, because the boat itself seems to be running okay, but he's just dropped off the pace by some way. But Chiap at the moment, 17.55 seconds between the lead boat of Chiap and Sami Seljo in second, with Al-Kwamsi still hanging in there in third, but he's 29 seconds behind Chiap at the moment. There we pick up Chiap in this boat. We were talking about it earlier on. I spoke to Alex Ledden, the guy that's been tuning the engines for this team this year, and he said just before the race, he said, we're fairly confident, we know we can get a good start, we just need to keep on and pressurize Sami. We knew he's very, very fast off the line, and we're just hoping for a podium, and if we can get a podium, we'd be happy. A win would just be unbelievable. Jonathan, it's looking good for them.
Just got word, Sean Torrente is in second place right now, so we move everybody down a slot. So our scoring that we're watching, we apologize for everybody here who was getting a chance to watch us, but right now Philippe Shep has that first place position, and Torrente's in second place.
Steve, the way I see it at the moment, Chiap leading, it looks like Torrente slowly but surely is closing down on him. And with my calculation, I got a watch on him at the moment. 1.9 seconds between Torrente in second, Chiap in the lead boat. And the other thing is Chiap's coming against some of the back markers at the moment. Is that going to slow him down? Is it going to allow Torrente to take that lead away from him?
Jonathan, the leader, Philippe Shep, now has 4 boats to circumnavigate around as they head down into turn number 3. And yes, visibly, Sean Torrente is closing up on Shep, and Shep's having a bit of a problem. He almost tipped the boat over, and now Torrente, like a bloodhound, could smell the blood. He's trying to close up on the driver from France, who's going to have to split the difference. He's got 1 boat to pass. He's got to work his way through. Looks like it could be Marit Stromoy, and at the same time, down at turn number 5, he looks up, and he's going to have to carve his way around a few more back markers, and Sean Torrente, like a hammerhead shark, is trying to bite him away.
All credit to Jonas Andersson there. He moved out of the way and allowed Chiap through, because if he had not done that, Sean Torrente would have pounced on him and taken the lead of this Grand Prix.
Torrente now makes a nice move as he slides through and works his way around in that corner as he heads down into turn number 2. There's your leader, Philippe Shep of France, from Rouen in his 11th season. Has never, ever in 11 years led a Formula One race. Now, don't forget, he likes it here, Jonathan. Why? Because he won the drag racing match race last year with the President Cup. So Philippe Shep has victory here. Problem was, it was the day after the Grand Prix.
Brilliant driving by Chiap on that last lap. He scythed his way through the back markers there. Everybody gave him just enough space. Torrente wasn't quite so lucky and he was held up a little bit. Chiap has opened that gap. About 2.5 to 3 seconds now between the lead boat and Torrente in second.
All right, Philippe Shep now continues to power his way around. As it looks like Sean Torrente, this epic battle is starting to really heat up. They're leaving nothing left to chance as they go down into turn number 2. The cushion between these two continues to remain at about 2 seconds. And Torrente, as he fought himself through traffic, now has got clear sailing, open water to challenge Shep for that number 1 lead as they go underneath the rainbow that is sitting in turn number 2 on this beautiful circuit here that has caused all sorts of havoc for the last couple of years, but everybody loves it. It's a real challenge.
Sami Seljo, we just picked him in the shot there, Steve. He's still going, although nothing like the pace that he was running at the beginning of the race. My guess would be that he could have a propeller problem or some kind of electrical problem. Certainly not the engine itself, but that is a shame because, boy, at the beginning of the race, was he running at a pace out there.
There you see Seljo as he works his way around this race circuit. Could be, Jonathan. That's a good observation. If you break part of a blade off or whatever, you get severe vibration. Maybe he's not getting the handling that he wants. And, of course, you're not getting maximum RPM. But Sami Seljo has to be visibly disappointed, upset. It happened early. 23 of the 38 laps gone as you get a bird's-eye view, a close-up view of the man from Helsinki, Finland, who is hoping to make it 2 in a row this afternoon. There's still time for him, but it looks like he's running a crippled machine, and now he's not being gobbled up by Daniel Quimsey, who's trying to take the position away from him, and right behind him is Alex Corella. So Daniel Quimsey would just love to move himself up into that 3rd place and get on the podium today.
But back to the front there again, Steve. Chiap there. Slowly but surely he's closing the gap.
And now Torrente, sorry, Jonathan. Torrente's making a move as he fights, as he tries to close up and push as hard as he can as he tried to close up on Shep, but it just didn't happen. And now Torrente has drifted back just a teeny bit on Shep, but I thought maybe that one instance he had a shot at it.
Yeah, it got close, but Chiap, he put the hammer down and he's pulling away again, and again coming up against back markers. Fingers crossed they'll keep out of his way, give him a clean line as they seem to do that down the back straight. Just came around that right-hander on the far side of the circuit, number 4, and boy, does that boat seem to have some acceleration out there today. It's coming into the corners absolutely flat out, and it looks so well balanced on the water.
Working his way around one of the Senga boats as he circles through, gets around Francesco Catanda, who has been lapped. And we'll put the clock and see what we can do on the difference between 1st and 2nd for you, ladies and gentlemen, to give you exactly the closeness of those two as they fight their way around this race circuit.
Still running strong out the front there, Torrente trying everything that he can, but he's got stuck behind a back marker again. Doesn't seem to be able to make quite as much progress as Chiap does at the lean boat there. But we just got Torrente there. He's just lapped Cantando again. So boy, the pace is incredible.
3.2 seconds, Jonathan, the difference between 1st and 2nd place. As Philippe Shep continues to control this race. This is an historic, monumental day for the Frenchman from Rouen if he can hang on and move himself into a victory for the first time.
Chiap coming up against back markers again, I think. Oh yes, beautiful driving by Benavente, letting him through there, to be fair. Chiap on the inside, Benavente on the outside again. Torrente trying to make some ground, but doesn't seem to be able to get through the back markers quite as well as the lead boat.
As we watch the Frenchman continue to pound his way around, as we talked about, as this driver who started his very first race in Sharjah back in 2002, his first podium was in St. Petersburg. Took him 7 years to get his first podium in 2009. He had qualified today, since we held qualifications this morning because of torrential winds yesterday. That forced everybody to come out this morning and qualify. And for Philippe Shep, he did his career tying best. 3rd time he has started in that 2nd spot, and he has inherited the lead with Seljo having problems. And now Shep is looking for his first victory, as we can see that Torrente now trying to fight his way up toward the front as he continues to push hard. And very interesting fact as they work their way around this race circuit, Jonathan.
Yeah, it looks like Chiap's got it all his own way at the moment. He got through those back markers really well, and Torrente, he's stuck now behind one of the Abu Dhabi back markers, can't seem to find a way around him. 38 lap race here this afternoon. We're down to 11 laps to the end of the Grand Prix.
Sean Torrente now with looks like Thaniel Quimsey, and cruises by and continues to power his way down into turn number 5. Shep continues to pull away though, and the Frenchman looking more and more aggressive as he comes by. We'll check it again. Last time it was 3.2 seconds, and Torrente has dropped way back, Jonathan. Boy, the difference now is up to 8 seconds, so you can tell the difference in back markers with this driver, as Torrente struggling to get through some of the back markers, where Philippe Shep is just carving it through like a hot knife through butter as you go on board and get a great shot at what the action looks like from our front end camera. And now you can see the driver, that beautiful Moore boat that they continue to develop, Jonathan. And now Shep is moving up on Alex Corella, who is Sean Torrente's teammate. Let's see if Corella makes it a little bit tougher for the Frenchman to get around so his other teammate can close up on it.
Well, the way I see it, Corella, no, fair play to him. He's taking a really wide line there. He's allowing Chiap to take an inside line. Not quite, because he's in a battle himself, actually, with Sami Celio for a position. But Chiap takes an inside line there again. Corella pulls over, fair play to him. And bang, Chiap's through and away. And it looks like he's opening that gap. It looks like it's about 8.5, 9 seconds now between the lead boat and that second place of Torrente, who doesn't seem to have an answer for him.
But that's the big question of the year so far, Jonathan. We're only 2 races in, and why is the 2-time defending world champion getting lapped in a race where he was a distant third? Sure, he got on the podium, but he was a good 20 seconds back of his teammate, Sean Torrente, and now he's gotten lapped by the leaders, Alex Corella. What's going on with the Italian?
Yeah, I know. He just doesn't seem to have been comfortable in this boat all weekend. I spoke to him this morning and he said it really does seem to be a bit of a handful. I can't get the boat balanced on the water in these rough conditions. And he didn't seem that confident that he was going to do well here today. And it's showing out there now at the moment. But he's hanging in there at the moment, and he's going to get a bunch of points at the end of the day. And, you know, it's a long championship. So, you know, something's better than nothing.
Absolutely, as we continue to watch the progress of these boats working their way around this race circuit. And there you can see the Mad Croc design boat of Sami Celio, who was hoping to win this afternoon. Celio trying desperately to hang on to that third place position. Sami Celio started in Chalon in 1998, and he didn't win his first race until 9 years later when he won in France in 2007. Credit to him, he's picked up 2 world championships since that time.
Yeah, back to the front there, Chiap. 7 laps to go. He seems to have it all his own way at the moment, Steve. The boat is running absolutely perfectly. He'll be probably backing off just a little bit now. He doesn't want to put too much stress on that engine. He's got to finish this race. And boy, it looks well balanced, doesn't it, on the water there. This is a really short, very, very wide boat. You can see Philippe Desertan there, the crew chief, talking to him on the radio, telling him exactly how far ahead he is at the moment, telling him to watch his way past some of those back markers. And with 7 laps to go, looks like he could win his first Grand Prix.
What are the chances of Philippe Shep breaking down? Not much, Jonathan. He's finished every race since Abu Dhabi in 2011. He had 3 podiums last year, and of course his best finish was a year ago, where he started 5th and finished 4th. But this could be a monumental afternoon for this man from Rouen, France. With now less than 6 laps to go, he is hoping to pick up his first victory in his 83rd start for Philippe Shep, as he continues to slice and dice his way around some of this traffic as he airs it out in full flight, almost standing it up on end on this race circuit here from the Kyiv Sea. Steve Michael, your host, along with Jonathan Jones, the many-time world champion, alongside giving you the analysis of the race. And we've been doing this for over a decade, Jonathan, and this is one of the better ones that we've seen. Celio desperately trying to hang on and at least still have a podium finish. And Celio is not, as you mentioned, 100% with that boat. We know he hit at least one boat, his teammate, and don't know if he rubbed paint with another boat, but obviously a bit of a handling problem for Celio. But really right now, Sean Torrente. And there's Sami Celio and Sean Torrente side by side. Torrente trying to lap Celio. Let's see what Celio does here. Does he make it awful wide for him? He's not making it look easy. These two drivers do not like each other, and it's going to be interesting to watch these two as they battle side by side. Torrente trying to lap Celio. Celio, who is a veteran, is going to try to hold off the American any which way he can to force the issue. Don't forget, a year ago, it was Torrente who took Celio out. Celio is opening up the door for Philippe Shep to almost coast home now, as Torrente is doing his best to stay out in front. And now Alex Corella closing up on Sean Torrente. But remember, Torrente lapped Corella once already.
But it looks to me at the moment as though Sami Celio seems to have all of a sudden he's got some pace back in the boat again, because Sean Torrente tried everything he could. At the moment, Sami's pulling away from him a little bit. So the pace that he lost for probably 20-25 laps, he seems to have got that pace back. Could have been an electrical problem, water on something or whatever, and that is such a shame. But all credit to him at the moment. He's keeping going there, and he's keeping Torrente at bay.
All right, as you look at Celio, the driver from Finland, who had the pole position, picked up his 21st career pole, his second in a row here. Now Torrente trying to get side by side with him, trying every which way he can. The battling pair in full flight as they continue to race neck and neck. They're dicing side by side, and Torrente is trying to do his best to close up on Celio, but Celio slamming the door on him, not making it easy, and making good his escape as Philippe Shep. He's saying bye-bye to the rest of the field. He is building up now, maybe as close to a third of a lap ahead, as Torrente continues to hound Celio, but Celio looks like he's holding him off.
Steve, the other thing is you can see there that Torrente, he's really struggling to even get past Corella. So it looks as though, as this race has gone on, Corella himself has actually picked up some of the pace, and he's running as fast now as the front runners.
As those two were fighting for the position, maybe Sean Torrente has got a problem. He's slowing down just a bit. Let's see if he can keep it going. Remember, heartache 3 laps from the end a year ago. Will it be a harbinger of things to come for Sean Torrente? Oh my, could that play tricks on your mind as the driver from Florida, remember a year ago, had the lead, had the race in his back pocket, and then all of a sudden on a restart, the engine let go. He only got 3 laps from the end to finish off, and he stopped dead in the water and came home in that 3rd place, and he's let Alex Corella get around him, and Corella has slid off, and now Torrente's just trying to hang on and hold off Francesco Catando, as Catando's trying to close up here with less than 2 laps to go.
So with 2 laps to go, we're checking on the scoreboard here. We got Philippe Chiap, who is way ahead at the moment. Sami Celio, according to the scoring, is now sitting in that 2nd position. Corella in 3rd, Torrente 4th, Cantando hanging in there in 5th, and Alquamsi making up the top 6.
So this is setting up for a wonderful exchange here with just 1 lap left to go, Jonathan, as we hold our breath as we get a chance to see the driver from France, from Rouen, who is a 3-time endurance record holder. He won the race in Poland just a matter of about a week ago, and Philippe Shep looking for victory. Celio is right there as he is doing his best with Alex Corella and Torrente. And we come here with less than a lap to go, Jonathan. Here we go. We hold our breath. Philippe Shep out of turn number 5 as he comes down with a couple of turns left to go. And Philippe Shep, as he can almost coast home now. Looks like finally the monkey has come off his back, and Philippe Shep will come across and take the checkered flag. The Frenchman from Rouen, for the first time in his history since the first race over a decade ago, picks up the victory, comes home, and look at the elation by the CTIC China team led by Philippe Desertin and crew as the rest of the field comes home. And oh my, what a great afternoon for these drivers as they saw it happen. It's a great day for the driver from France. Philippe Shep comes up with the victory and his 83rd start of his career.
And I think that is just rewards for a team that have been pushing, and they've pushed hard for the last 3, 4, 5 seasons, and eventually they got it all together. They ran out there today. The boat was absolutely perfectly balanced on the water. He had good acceleration, good mid-range and top speed. Philippe Chappe, a very, very experienced driver, and that could be the package to look out for this year, because nobody seemed to have an answer for him. But he won the race there. Carella actually finishing second in the end, so that was a good result for Alex Carella, the current world champion. Sami Seljo in third, Torrente fourth, Cantando fifth, Jonas Andersen making up the top six.
Interesting finishes here, Jonathan, as we get a chance to watch the driver come around. Philippe Chappe in his 11th season. This is the very first time, as we mentioned, an historic day for this driver from Rouen, France, in that beautiful brand new Moore boat that really paid dividends for him today, got him home in an epic battle with Sean Torrente for many laps. After Sami Seljo had a problem, he ended up getting in a situation where he got physical with his teammate a bit, may have had handling problems, was able to gather it back up. He hung in there like a real Trojan and struggled his way and fought his way back up. So Sami Seljo, credit to him, he stayed up there with the points and he finished high in the afternoon. But Philippe Chappe is the hero, and he's the man we'll talk about today.
It certainly is. I mean, like we said it earlier on, they've been working on that boat. They've been developing that boat for the last probably 2 or 3 seasons, you know, and picking out the best ideas that they had in probably 3 or 4 boats, putting it all together in this package. It's a really small boat, very, very wide, but it's got tremendous acceleration, and boy, did it come off that start line today. And he pushed Sami Seljo all the way. When Sami was leading the race, it was 1.52 seconds, then back to 1.5, so he certainly had the pace throughout the entire Grand Prix. And just rewards, I think, for Team China, because they've really pushed hard. But Sami Seljo, to have lost all that pace halfway through the race and really fall all the way back, and to come back into that third position, brilliant. Carella, I'm sure, after that mid-range, during the mid part of the race, he seemed to be losing a lot of pace, and Torrente seemed to have the edge on him, and he came back to finish in that third position. Very, very good. Cantando worked his way up, didn't have a very good qualifying, but hung in there and finished in 5th. Jonas Andersen, I'm sure, will be happy in 6th, with Thani Al-Quamsi 7th. Rubayan, the other Middle Eastern driver, 8th. He'll be happy with his day. And Al Hamli, it's a shame for Al Hamli, because we know that that guy on the day is probably the fastest guy on water. But, you know, he's been through a terrible illness, and to have come back is quite unbelievable.
Yeah, some really excitement going on. Look at Philippe Chappe. He's going to be the proud man in the paddock, a very popular winner. All teams coming by. There you had to see Brendan Power shake his hand to congratulate him. You know, if it's taken a decade for a driver to consistently race and to push himself through, and as you take a look at the scoring championships as we unofficially have it at this point, Seljo continues to lead this championship with 32 points, with Chappe now in the 2nd spot, tied with Carella with 27, and Torrente down in that 4th spot in the 24th spot. As you can see, a total of 11 different drivers have scored championship points so far. Ahmed Al Hamli with just 6, Jonathan, but at the same time, he is still trying to work his way back into 100% physical shape. And I'll tell you something, it's a credit to him that he comes out here and pushes as hard as he does.
Oh yeah, but you can see there Philippe Chappe hugging Alex Ledden and the rest of the crew there. They must be really, really happy this weekend. And you know, it's a package. I mean, Team TCIT China, they've really put together a very, very strong package with some very, very experienced people, and all credit as well to Philippe Desertan, that put this team together about 5 or 6 years ago, and they've really pushed as hard as they can, and they've got their just reward here today in Kyiv.
Jonathan, I'm getting word now, as I suspected, that Torrente did finish in the 2nd place. And in 3rd place was Carella. So those points will not be valid. We'll come back and we'll talk about that in a second. But let's take a look at the highlights of today's race. And it's all about this man, Philippe Chappe. As they take off from the start of the dock here, 17 boats tearing away, 10,000 horsepower as they head down into this commitment buoy down in turn number 5, the first turn of the race. Sliding through, and you can see the drivers from 12 different nations starting to fan out as they work their way around. And everybody got away cleanly as they come out of that final turn, turn number 6. Ooh, Bartek Marsalek, I didn't see that at the beginning, almost went over down at turn number 6 as we watch Ahmed Al Hamli trying to move up from 10th place. He started in that position, and Al Hamli did his best to finish up in the top 10, which he did today. Now, Sami Celio leading early and comfortably over Philippe Shep. The battle was between Shep and Sean Torrente. And as they fought their way around, it looked like maybe that Celio was going to have it all his own way. As you can see, they're both circling around on the far north end of the course, as Torrente was relentless to try to catch up Philippe Shep. And as the drivers came around this early portion of the race, Torrente realized that he had a real good shot of catching Shep. But for some reason, his teammate there, as you saw Alex Carrella in the #1 machine, the two-time defending world champion, struggled today, but fought his way back up to reach the podium, Jonathan. And he finished just in front of Celio. So if you remember right, as we watch these drivers come through, snaking their way around this 6-pin, 2.3-kilometer race course, 1.45 miles. It was tough. The water settled down nicely. And Celio all of a sudden slowed down, and he was having real bits of problems in handling, we think. And this man, Philippe Shep, jumped on the miscue that Celio had and charged his way to the front, working his way around the driver from Finland, not only taking a lead, but coming up with the victory for the first time in 83 starts for him. So a great afternoon for him as they wind things up. And here you see Torrente working his way around Thaniel Quimsey. Now the scoring had a bit of a problem today, and Torrente at one time was shown down at 9th, but Jonathan, you and I have been through more than a few hundred Grand Prix in our day, so we double checked it, and we did see that Torrente hadn't dropped off, and he was right there. Look at Philippe Rams adjusting the canopy. Obviously the canopy let loose, and across he comes. And there you see the winner right now, Philippe Shep. And this all-French team so excited, led by Philippe Desertin. So much frustration, so many near misses to victory. And Philippe Shep, who has so many times been on the podium, but he has never finished any better than a second place until today when he came up with the victory. So Philippe Shep is #1 for the first time in his career in over a decade.
And he certainly didn't put a foot wrong out there today, did he? He came through the back markers. He had a great start. He hung on to Sami Celio until, for whatever reason, Sami seemed to slow down a bit. And then he took the lead. And he scythed his way through the back markers, just picking his line really well. Some of the back markers were very good to pull over and let him through. Sean Torrente pushed as hard as he could. He seemed to be able to close the gap on him, but couldn't quite do it. But really good from Torrente, and we got him interviewed here, Steve.
Tell you what, Sean Torrente, grab the mic. Congratulations on a great day. I'll tell you what, the scoring threw us off a bit, but we noticed, because we've got about 300 Grand Prix on our belt, you were still in that position, yes. And you and Alex Carrella were fighting, and I'll tell you what. No, you had worked your way past Carrella. You had lapped him, and then you just kind of let him by. When did you decide that maybe you were going to give up the hunt on Philippe Shep?
Well, as you know, Sammy and I don't like each other very much. So he decided he'd rather wreck me than let me pass him. So I said, you know what, I'm going to be the championship points leader if I let my teammate pass me and go get him like I knew he could, and he did. That's why he's world champion. He went out there, last lap, got a third, makes me the leader, gets him a podium. Man, we're so happy.
Two races in a row, this Team Qatar on the podium.
That's right. That's what we got to do. Just keep getting points.
Second, third, third.
You know what? I ain't won a race yet. I should have won a couple, but I am the championship points leader. Could you believe that?
That's a great
championship start. Championship points leader.
Sean Torrente, there's no drama in this man. He's not afraid to let you know what he thinks. And
by the way, too, Philippe Shep, no one deserves it more than him. No one. So I'm so happy he won. I thought I had him a couple times. He did a great job.
Congratulations, Sean Torrente. World points leader now for Team Qatar. And they're heading off to, they're going to go off to the podium. And they need him up on the podium. There's no excitement in the young guy from Miami, is there?
None whatsoever, Steve. He really was pumped up there, wasn't he? And he's obviously very happy. And, it was obviously a good move for him to move to that Team Qatar. And they've stuck through it, through thick and thin with him, Steve, haven't they? Last year when he got into a lot of trouble and the UIM stopped in racing for a few races, they had a lot of, they just basically had faith in him. And they stuck with him, and they got him back again this year, and fair play to him. He drove a blinder out there today.
Alex Corella grabbed the mic, my friend, two-time world champion, and I'll tell you what, it's nothing but podiums for you around this place. And hey, 2 races, 2 podiums, and a nice way to start the season. You're right there, caught up in the mix for this world championship, maybe 3 in a row. But I'll tell you what, it looks like it was a draining physical experience. That's a tough race course.
Today was really tough in the water. I start 5th, and after I have to pass Tani and Sami, and I make the pass to Sami at the really last 2 corners. So really hard work today, but I really enjoyed the race. It's a victory for me.
But you know, we spoke a little bit before the race, and you said you didn't feel comfortable all weekend, did you? The balance of the boat didn't seem to be quite right. Was it better in the race than it had been in qualifying?
For sure, we have the water condition of the race was similar at the Coutray, so it was not really rough, and I managed myself for make it.
Love it. Congratulations on the podium for the 2nd straight time, my friend. Go on up. They're waiting for you. So Alex Corella, the 2-time world champion, the driver from Piacenza, Italy, moves himself up in this championship race. And boy, Jonathan, you know what? I'll tell you what, the experience of what we went through, I mean, we had a feeling that this wasn't quite right. And we knew Philippe Shep had the victory. After that, it was like we were kind of guesstimating, but we didn't want to say it. But I had a feeling that Sean Torrente was right there in 2nd place. It turned out for him, and you saw it when he got off the dock. When he got out of the cockpit, he was jumping up and down and screaming. Now, if you finish 4th place, you're not jumping up and down and screaming. You're pretty happy. But he figured out real quick that he's exactly where he sits right now. So it was final scoring is Philippe Shep in that 1st place position, as we talked about, and a very popular victory for him. And new history here in the UIM Formula One World Championship, a Frenchman winning. And that's the first time that a Frenchman has won in the UIM Formula One World Championship since his buddy and friend Philippe Desertin did it in 2002 in Helsinki. So congratulations to him. He, by the way, is one of 12 different drivers from France that have been in this 4-decade sport. So France really holds up well when it comes to the history of the sport, as you see Sean Torrente talking with Philippe Shep, trying to figure out what the heck happened behind him. He was so busy and so far ahead of everybody else. He goes, oh yeah, where were you guys? Yeah,
but you know, like I said earlier, Chiap, he didn't put a foot wrong all day, did he? He looked strong in pre-qualifying. He looked strong in qualifying. He got that 2nd position. The boat looked really well balanced all weekend on the water, and he just drove a blinding race, and he's got tremendous amount of experience because he does a lot of this endurance racing. He ran a 24-hour race in Poland just a month or so back, and they won that as a team, and they're in really good shape. They've got a very, very strong package, and I think that is one team that people are going to be looking out for this year because they could steal this World Championship.
They could, absolutely, and steady progress. We talked about with Philippe Shep. He has finished every race since 2011. So consistency wins you championships, and that's exactly what happened. But how about Alex Corella passing Sami Celio with 2 turns left to go to bump him off the podium and move himself up, and for the 2nd straight race with Team Qatar finishing 2-3.
Yeah, good result for them. It'll be interesting to try and find out, Steve, will Celio tell us exactly what went wrong? Because at the beginning of that race, boy, he came off the start pontoon and he left everybody for dead. The acceleration of that Baba was just something else, wasn't it? And it looked like he had everything his own way, didn't it? But Chiap, he pushed hard. There was only a second or two between them for probably the first 10 or 15 laps, and he didn't give in. And then for some reason, Sami seemed to slow a little bit. Chiap, he pounced on him, took the lead, and from there on in, there was nobody that was going to catch him. Perhaps Torrente could have caught him, but I'll tell you what, catching somebody and overtaking them are 2 different things, and all credit to that French team who did a wonderful job all weekend.
All right, as we go up to the podium, the celebration is just about to begin as all drivers have worked their way up. The top 3 will be honored and celebrated. Tens of thousands of fans that turned out this afternoon. This is a great tradition in only 3 years here in Kyiv. The first year where literally people were abandoning their cars on the open highway to rush in, and there you see part of the crowd that encircles this lovely park way up on the north end, a suburb of Kyiv on the Kyiv Sea. And there you see the governor coming out. He is one of the dignitaries that will be here to hand out the trophies of the drivers, and we do have a lot of trophies to be handed out. And there's Nicolo de San Germano, the commissioner, and he is the promoter of this series. What a tremendous job this man man from Italy has done in over 2 decades.
And it certainly hasn't been easy this weekend, Steve, for anybody, because the weather has not been kind to us. Beginning of the week, I mean, it was blowing a gale here. There is no way they could have even put a boat on the water. Yesterday, when we were supposed to qualify, lost out there because of the wind again. So the teams had to qualify today midday. They then had a 3-hour break, and then they were back in the boats again for the Grand Prix itself.
Alex Corella, the 2-time world champion, stepping up, accepting 3rd place for the 2nd race in a row in 2013. And finishing in front of him is his teammate, Sean Torrente of Miami, Florida, coming up, shaking the hand of the governor and to Nicolo de San Germano and Lavinia Cavallero, who is the logistics director. And Qatar team 2-3, and here is your first-time winner on the upper step, Philippe Shep. Look at the smile on his face, Jonathan. I know you got to remember your first Grand Prix victory more than a few full moons ago, but how exciting is it?
You know, it's like a monkey off your back. Winning that first Grand Prix means that you've got the confidence, you know, and you've got the team behind you to really push forward and start winning more Grand Prix and eventually, hopefully, a World Championship for them.
And now, in honor of Philippe Shep, for the first time in over a decade, we will hear the French national anthem. So Philippe Shep.
And that in itself is no mean feat. And, you know, he's had loyalty in this team, Steve, and he's backed them all the way financially. And finally, they've got to really where they deserve to be at the moment, and that's in the #1 slot here in Kyiv.
As they start to hand out the hardware, they'll give it to the #3 finisher, Alex Corella. By the way, a big shout out to our buddy, Jay Price, 2008 world champion, watching down in New Orleans, Louisiana this afternoon. And I know he and Philippe Shep were always very good friends. And of course, he was part of this Team Qatar setup for many years. And I know he's got to be happy with the 2 drivers coming home 2nd and 3rd for the 2nd straight race in a row. Look at Sean Torrente, big smile on his face. You know, he's been clouded in controversy, and he's very aggressive, but he's very emotional, and it's nice to see that on the tour. He's a great guy, and I think he's going to be a real credit to this sport before it's over.
He has, and you notice this year his driving style is a little bit different to last year. Last year, far too aggressive, you know, not giving an inch and pushing and basically pushing too hard, and he settled down a bit, and I think he's going to be a world champion of the future, that's for sure.
Well, there's the man with the championship #1 spot this afternoon on the top step, Philippe Shep. And it is his day on a very historic afternoon here on the Kyiv Sea for the Grand Prix of Ukraine here in the northern suburbs of, yes, Ukraine, here out of Kyiv. And there's your new official lineup in the top 3 with Shep winning and Torrente finishing in 2nd and Alex Corella in 3rd place. So as they look out now and take the numerous photographs, and it's a photographic opportunity that'll be seen around the world tonight, and a new man in that #1 spot. It's been a great day so far, and yes, the big question mark is we'll have to find out for you what happened to Sami Selya. Don't forget, everybody, you can follow all the action between the races. Our next stop is coming up on the 2nd of October in Liuzhou in China for round #3 of this championship. And don't forget, we're going to have fun tomorrow. We won't be on the air, but we're going to have a lot of fun doing some match racing. And, of course, that'll be drag racing. And, by the way, this is kind of the only time of the year that we do this. This is the center of speed here in Kyiv, because it's the only race event where we do have this match racing. And oddly enough, the man on the top step won a year ago.
Yeah, it's tomorrow's a big money race here that we've got, Steve, and like you said, Chiap last year, he looked very, very strong and came away with a win, and you know, this year he could do the same thing again.
For those of you leaving us now, thanks for stopping by. For my partner, Jonathan Jones, I'm Steve Michael. Whether it's good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever in the world you may be at the moment, you've been watching the most exciting racing entertainment on water, the UIM Formula One World Championship. It's been a fantastic day of racing, and congratulations go out to Philippe Shep. So long from lovely Kyiv in the Ukraine.